Hey guys, orgasms inside the vagina. There are 4 kinds of orgasms inside the vagina, and that creates a lot of confusion because you want to know how to make your cum inside the vagina, but different people are talking about different kinds of orgasms inside the vagina. It's not the same thing, and that's why it becomes also confusing how they happen, why it doesn't happen, why it does happen, and whatever. So I will tell you about these 4 different kinds of orgasms inside the vagina, how they happen, what you need to do for them. I will tell you straight away, there's going to be no bullshit here. This is not one of those content pieces about 50 kinds of orgasms because we can tickle the ear and we can call it an orgasm because it felt nice, or because some woman somewhere felt a particular spot sensitive inside the vagina, so now we call this a W spot or an N spot because one woman felt it somewhere. So none of that. There are 4 distinct types of an orgasmic experience that a woman can have inside the vagina that are quite common, that a lot of women have, but they're all very different. They are very different experiences. They happen in a different place, from a different kind of stimulation. They are not the same orgasm. The first one is what I call a false vaginal orgasm. It's basically an orgasm that she has when you are moving inside the vagina during sex and she comes, and she has this peak intense explosion, and you know that she came just as she does with oral sex, and you think she has come inside the vagina. She hasn't. She has come in the clitoris, on the outside, either on the head of the clitoris, or because the clitoris actually has legs, it wraps around the opening to the vagina. So sometimes women have very sensitive legs of the clitoris. So when you're moving through the opening, you're stimulating those legs. But essentially, she's having a clitoral orgasm. We can call it a vaginal orgasm if you want, because it's around the opening. It feels to her like it's vaginal because you're inside her essentially, and she feels that sensation inside as well. But it came from you actually stimulating on the outside with your body, mainly through grinding. That's how it happens. So that's one kind of an orgasm that women can have. I wouldn't say it's an orgasm inside the vagina, but it appears that way because you were inside the vagina when that orgasm happened. The other kind of orgasms that women have inside the vagina is obviously the G-spot orgasm that is commonly associated with squirting, with female ejaculation. The G-spot is basically a back door to the clitoris. So the clitoris is a big organ. It doesn't just have legs that wrap around the opening, it also goes a bit into the body, into the vagina. So you are stimulating the same complex of nerves. And the G-spot, because of that, has a very similar nature. The G-spot orgasm has a very similar nature to the clitoral orgasm, a similar pattern. You build up a loss of tension, and then at some point it releases. It gives one intense sensation and a feeling of release. The G-spot orgasms are much more difficult a lot of the time for women to get to than clitoral orgasms because you just need more stimulation there. It can take a lot of work. Not all women will ultimately be able to, have it, be able to release that way. In my opinion, the G-spot orgasm is probably the least useful out of all orgasmic experiences because it takes the most work, and proportionately it doesn't give so much. It just gives one intense sensation of release. And the other 2 experiences that I'm going to tell you about now are much more fulfilling, much more satisfying for a woman. The G-spot orgasm is not really possible for you to achieve through the intercourse, through penetration with the penis. It's just not going to be stimulated enough, except for a very small minority of women, which is really an anomaly. You shouldn't expect this as normal at all. The penis is not going to stimulate the G-spot enough or fast enough or hard enough. Normally, you can only, if you can achieve it, you can only achieve it with a finger. Now, before I tell you about the next 2 interesting kinds of orgasms inside the vagina, can I please ask you to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel? I would really love to deliver more content to you. It will help me to do so. Now, the next type of an orgasm that a woman can have inside the vagina is a different kind of orgasm altogether. It's a cervical orgasm. It has a different nature. It does not happen anywhere around the opening. It actually happens on the opposite end of the vagina, at the back wall of the vagina, in the cervical area. It has a different nature. It does not reach that peak and release. Only the clitoral tissue that's connected to the G-spot are able to have that kind of orgasm. The cervical orgasm is basically when you're massaging that back wall of the vagina and it sends really powerful, strong waves of sexual sensation into her. It does not reach a peak, it does not explode, it just simply keeps flowing into her for as long as you want to. And this can be a really powerful and a really nourishing and fulfilling kind of an orgasm for women, far more powerful than a G-spot or a clitoral orgasm. But you just have to change your mindset that you're trying to get to some peak and explode. You know, that is not the best orgasm that a woman can have. The cervical orgasm is a lot more powerful, and it just goes on and on. Also, I actually have a free practical training for you specifically on how to give her a cervical orgasm with full instructions and a walkthrough. So go ahead and download it. The link is below the video in the description. The next kind of orgasm inside the vagina is what we can call an orgasmic state. So it's basically when the vagina becomes really sensitive through a really good lovemaking, and it just starts kind of reacting to every movement, not in any particular area, but just all together. It's really sensitive, and it is sending really lovely sensations and vibrations and waves into the woman, and that can be really beautiful in many different ways. There can be a lot of variety in these sensations. They can be ongoing. Again, it's a state of being inside her vagina. It's not an event, it's not an explosion. She just keeps feeling it, it keeps feeding her. Really beautiful experience. How do you get there? Like, through really good lovemaking. There's no particular button you can press on that. You just really need to make love to her well, even before the penetration, the foreplay, the arousal, the way you're moving inside the vagina. I have a video on that, how to move really well inside the vagina, how to make her feel good in your intercourse technique. And then the vagina can become really sensitive, and it can start being orgasmic like this. This, in my opinion, is the ultimate female vaginal orgasm, the ultimate orgasm inside the vagina that is superior to all other orgasms, and it is the most beautiful experience that a woman can have. So guys, the takeaway here is that by trying to really build up the tension and give her that one explosion with G-spot, with clitoral orgasms, you give her the most basic kinds of orgasms. You shut down her capacity for the richer, deeper, more kind of expansive kinds of orgasms. And those kinds of orgasms in the vagina, inside the vagina specifically, you can't make them. They just happen from you being really present with her, really making love to her really well, forgetting about trying to give her an orgasm, and just really letting her enjoy the vagina in every moment creatively. And that's how you give her the best orgasms. So that's a really interesting kind of takeaway there. So guys, a great next thing for you to watch would be that exact video on how to move inside the vagina with a really good intercourse technique to make her feel really good inside the vagina. And that video will tell you how to move in that creative way, that sensitive way, to create that sensitivity that will make it possible for her to have some of those vaginal orgasms. So go and watch it now.